Hi guys, today's rant, as we have the gas-sucking lawnmower cranking up in the background, appropriately enough, today's rant is on the difference, the subtle but crucial difference in definition between the terms right and privilege. Right meaning the noun, right, and privilege. Now, it's the subtle differences in this word and the confusion among these two words. I was hearing some constitutional attorney discussing this in a video last week, which I unfortunately cannot remember the name of this video. He was claiming, and I agree with the man the more I think about it, that this confusion between right and privilege is one of the many factors that have gotten ourselves into this mess we're in today. Now, he was specifically addressing the U.S. Constitution and how both citizens and, more importantly, government policy makers, is that a polite word to call them, who are abridging the rights of citizens by thinking that they're privileges when they're not, and citizens assuming that things are rights when they're in fact not. And it is this confusion that has gotten the U.S. Constitution into such a mess. Now, he was talking on, as I say over and over again, the shallow end of the doomsday prophecy pool. That he was, one of these doomsday prophets about the Republic of the United States of America, which is misdefined as a democracy. It is a republic, but that's a whole other confusion in the future rant. Now, of course, I like to swim deeper. I like to swim in both ends of the doomsday prophecy pool because I'm a doomsday prophet as an American and as a planetary citizen. And so in a few minutes, I'm going to get, as I always do, into the deeper end of the doomsday prophecy pool. And then the reason we have gotten ourselves into the mess we have gotten ourselves into as a species on this planet is that we have confused the definition between right and privilege. But I'll get to that in a minute. So, but first, I think a good place to start is just reading the definition. I always start at the dictionary. So a right, according to good old Merriam-Webster's dictionary, is defined as something to which one has a just claim, or something that one may properly claim as due. So then you can get in, you have to look up just claim and due and all that, but we're gonna, for the purposes of here, that's where we're gonna end this. Something to which one has a just claim, something that one may properly claim as due. Okay, so keep that in mind as we look up the word privilege as opposed to right. So a privilege is, I bet it's going to be a right. Gee, a right or immunity granted as a benefit, advantage, or favor. Okay, so the difference, a privilege is a right, but a right is not a privilege. And a privilege is a right that is granted by some sort of higher authority. So that higher authority, the privilege, could be your next door neighbor, the federal government, or Mother Nature is the ultimate privilege grantor who grants us the right to life. Nobody grants us the right to life except Mother Nature. And I'm going to get back to that in a minute. For people who think that the U.S. Constitution, that any piece of paper, be it written on hemp parchment or any other kind of paper that any sort of government authority can grant anybody the right to life is a hilarious, egotistical, and unbelievably arrogant notion that the right to life can be granted on a piece of paper by any sort of human institution. But again, I will get back to this in a minute. So this constitutional attorney, whatever his name was, he was a great guy. How he explained the difference between a right and a privilege. He was looking at it from private property rights. That can open up a whole new source of debate, me being the real estate agent and real estate investor that I've been for so many years. And a private property rights versus privilege argument. If you own a piece of private property in America, and your neighbor owns a piece of your next door neighbor, he owns his piece of private property. Now there are certain laws out there that govern your use of this private property, as we know, but you basically have a right to occupy it and walk around it. Okay, the right to occupy your personal property is a basic right of it, and your neighbor has his basic right to occupy. But you do not have the right to occupy your neighbor's property, and he does not have the right. It is not a just claim, something that is due him to occupy your property. However, if you grant him that right, whether it's a verbal or written contract, if you tell your next door neighbor, if you give him the right to occupy your property, he now has the privilege of occupying your property. But if he comes over to your property with your invitation and with his privilege, not his right, his privilege to occupy your property, and he comes over here and he starts chopping down all your trees, starts shooting all your squirrels and rabbits and birds, and starts taking all your fish, and then he dumps all his garbage over here on your property, I bet you anything you're going to revoke his privilege. Privileges, just as they're granted, they're also revocable. Alright, so the person who granted you the privilege to have their limited rights can revoke your privilege, that privilege, if you abuse that limited right. And this is what he was talking about, what has happened particularly since 9/11, that the federal government is confusing these terms, rights and privileges, and that they are revoking, in their confusion, in their haste to turn this free republic into a police state, they are revoking our rights, treating them like privileges, and it's pissing a lot of people off. It's pissing a lot of people off. It's been bad enough between the erosion of our rights between 77 and the year 2001 was a bad enough upward trend, but since the inside job of September 11th, it's gone completely crazy in the past 10 years or so. And so if you're swimming around in the shallow end of the doomsday prophecy pool, where Alex Jones and David Icke and those guys are swimming around, they have a very good point that the government and citizens need to realize that the federal government and other world governments, more and more of the global world government, is stepping on our rights, treating them like privileges. And so let's talk about the right. There's a Bill of Rights, but even the most fundamental rights, and that gets back to the right, the constitutionally protected right to life, liberty and the pursuit of happiness. So again, it's a laughable notion that the U.S. Constitution can grant us the right to life. Nobody grants us the right to life. Mother Nature, or in my term, because I worship Mother Nature grants us the privilege to life. And that's the number one overarching rule here. What the Constitution, in my reading, the right to life that the Constitution grants us is the right to not have our life arbitrarily snuffed out by a tyrannical federal government. It's our civil rights. It grants us certain civil rights and civil liberties and civil pursuits of happiness. And I just want to briefly just talk about one of the most abridged rights, is the right to liberty and the pursuit of happiness. And this is just one of 1,000. And this one was being attacked, abridged, had liens put on it. Now they're inalienable, not inalienable rights, inalienable rights. There's certain rights that the government has no right to put liens on, to abridge, to infringe. And one of these is the liberty and the pursuit of happiness to expand our own consciousness. Nowhere is the right stronger and more unabridgable than a person's own choice how to expand his consciousness. My heroes, Graham Hancock and Terence McKenna, speak about this a lot. And particularly when talking about the right to use cannabis. This will be a whole nother rant coming up in tomorrow's rant. The right to use cannabis and mushrooms and ayahuasca and these plant-based spirit guides that were set here millions of years ago on this planet, before there was ever a notion of a United States of America or any other government, any other tyrannical government. What was our basic right as human societies and as a species to take advantage of God-given plants to expand our own consciousness, to connect ourselves to Mother Nature, to Spirit, to the universe, to God, and to make marijuana, mushrooms, ayahuasca, whatever, illegal, and to literally deny us of our own liberty by throwing us into prison, if not killing us for exercising our right as a human, as an individual human and species and civilizations and everything in between, to connect with God, making laws against that. It is one of the major things that goes to the very core of what's wrong with this republic, this mislabeled democracy, this civilization, and this planet. It is where we have gone wrong, is this disconnection with Spirit. And one of the ways we have been disconnected is by this attack on our civil liberties, on our God-given liberties, to use these spirit guides to do that. But this is just one in a million. It's just one example, and we could go on with this rant, but I'll leave it to Alex Jones to go on with his rant. He's been going on with this rant for 18 years about the attacks on our civil liberties as Americans. And I want you to know that by and large, as long as we're swimming around here in the shallow end of the doomsday prophecy pool, that Alex Jones and David Icke and Jordan Maxwell and all of those guys who are my heroes, they're right on target, and I am right behind them waving my American flag. Where Alex Jones and I part, as I have said over and over and over again, as long as these rights and liberties and privileges or whatever are that we're debating as Americans, and we need to be debating a lot more, don't take us into the deeper end of the doomsday prophecy pool, where we start screwing around with Mother Nature. As long as the debate is truly between us as citizens and these evil bastards in the ever more growing tyrannical police state, and I throw the multinational corporations right in there, the politicians, and the oil companies and the bankers, all of those evil bastards, as long as our fight against them, that we're not, as Alex Jones and the anti-environmentalist gang, the anti-eco-fascist gang, as long as it's on that level, you know, such as I use the laws against marijuana now, that they actually harm our connection with Mother Nature. So, but I'm totally behind these guys, all right? Where it starts stepping on my little eco-fascist toes is when we get into the bigger picture here, the bigger wheel, and we start confusing our rights to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, confusing that with Mother Nature's privilege to give us life. And this is where the ultimate privilege, the big daddy privilege, is our privilege that Mother Nature has granted us when she granted us and every other earthling we share this planet with the privilege of life. And just as Mother Nature has granted us the privilege of life, she can also revoke it. Anytime the big cop, wants to revoke our privilege to life, whether as individuals, we're all going to face that, as societies and civilizations, and ultimately as a species, she's the one who put us here. She's the one who's going to take us out. Ultimately, she makes the final decision. We're just helping her make that decision. When Mama gets pissed off about our confusion that we have a right, that we have a just claim on this planet. Nobody except Mama has a just claim. This planet is not due us. We do not have a right to be on this planet, to despoil this planet, and we keep violating our planetary right to live here. And when we think that it is our right as individuals, as societies, civilizations, and as a species to despoil this planet, Mama Nature has the right to revoke the privilege. Now, of course, the great confusion that I suffer from is why she hasn't already revoked the privilege. Only Mother Nature, God, the universe, spirit, whatever words you want to use, can grant the privilege of a species to inhabit this planet, one of our fellow earthlings. And so what confuses me and throws me into such spiritual crisis that I am in is why she would allow us as one species to annihilate another species off this planet. we have co-opted her ability to revoke entire species privilege to be here. You know, and we're doing it every day 100 times over. This is the first time in the history of this planet that this has happened, where one species has so confused the term right and privilege that every day, we abuse our rights as a species and our rights to inhabit this planet as a species by taking out entire other species of fellow Earthlings. And why? And we're doing it. And so we are revoking the privilege of removing life forms, revoking the privilege of life that Mother Nature, God, Spirit, whatever word you want to use, has granted to all of our fellow Earthlings. And I don't know why we're still being allowed to get away with it. We're not going to be allowed to get away with it much longer with this ultimate confusion in the terms rights or privileges. Why she's letting us get away, it seems like to me that the day as a species we annihilated, let's say whether it's a saber-toothed tiger, the woolly mastodon, or woolly mammoth, mastodon, saber-toothed tiger, and the dodo bird. And you know, way back when, these species of megafauna that we took out as a species, why she didn't snap us down that day, I don't understand. And I don't understand why she's going to let us wake up tomorrow. And so I say, bring it on. Mama, bring on the broom. We're long overdue. But this is the ultimate debate. So I will wrap up my blathering into the universe and let you continue the debate in the Alex Jones shallow end of the Doomsday Prophecy pool, or the eco-fascist deep end of the Doomsday Prophecy pool, and come to your own decisions. Let the debate begin and let it rage. Bye, guys.